Welcome to U.S. Immigrant Journey, Opportunities and Challenges.
Hello and welcome to U.S. Immigrant Journey, Opportunities and Challenges. Today we have Attorney Edwin Fogam, a seasoned immigration lawyer and an immigrant himself, who has helped hundreds of clients build their future in America. We're going to talk about how immigrants can secure extraordinary entrepreneurial and family-based success in the U.S. Attorney Fogam, Edwin, welcome.
Hello, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, so this is going to be a part one. We're going to do a two-parter here. So part one of this discussion, we're going to start by talking about the EB-1. So what does it mean to qualify for the EB-1 visa for extraordinary ability?
The EB-1 visa for extraordinary ability, visas that are available to extraordinary ability foreign nationals, those who have accomplished at a very high level of their professions, whether in business, in sciences, or in athletics. And there are certain criteria that USCIS would use to determine whether you belong to that extraordinary category of foreign nationals.
So how do we decide? How do I figure out if we're extraordinary?
First of all, based on the regulations, there are 10 things that you may want to prove, one of them or three of them at least. A one-time prize of international repute or well-recognized prize is one of them. The salary that you have commanded, if it is at an extraordinary level, is one of them. Publications about you as an extraordinary person by your peers and in other areas is one of them. But we go through these 10 things. However, that shouldn't dissuade people because it's a matter of creativity, how you pick and choose within those things. Sometimes it's a combination of them. Sometimes you extract from one and show how the other aspect can enhance that extraordinary ability. So it's not a science per se as such, but it's a guideline.
Yeah. How do you prepare your clients in that scenario? Like, what kind of things do you tell them to make sure that they have ready to apply for that visa?
Yes, we prepare them. First of all, we have an in-depth discussions with them, consultation, get their background. We obtain the documents that they have to prove their various professional endeavors and what they have done. Many times, some clients will not know that certain accomplishments or some things that they've really done can be used positively to enhance their cases. So we have very long strategic sessions with them and we get their documents and review them. And if we need follow-up, we pursue those documents and see what we can get further.
Okay. And I know there's also one called an O1 visa for talented individuals. So what's the difference between the EB1 and the O1?
Both of them are extraordinary ability visas. However, the EB1 is a permanent residency. It's permanent visa. That is for an immigrant. The O, extraordinary ability, is a non-immigrant visa, which means it's temporarily, quote unquote. In most of the time, people who obtain or secure the O visa can subsequently become EB2, permanent residents. But the difference is that one is a permanent immigrant visa, while the other is a non-immigrant visa, which is temporary.
How long is there any sort of rule on how long that temporary status goes for?
Well, there is no specific. It's renewable and it can really go for very, very long. There's really no specific term, as it's usually a transitional visa, right, to get to permanent residency. Yes.
How would one know if they should go for the EB1 or the O1? How do you help people figure that out?
Yes, I think the first thing you should determine is where you are and your current status. Now, both of them, the qualifications for both of them are almost the same. However, if you are still abroad and you are not yet in the United States, you may want to consider the O visa first, because the EB2, the EB1, extraordinary ability, you need to show a lot of stuff, things in the United States, or you need to show how that is linked to your extraordinary ability situation. But again, the good thing is that both of them have similar requirements to establish extraordinary ability. So it will just be a question of timing, and some strategy depending on how many people, the family background, and other things, or whether it's a transitional step in your immigration strategy.
Okay. And do you have to be sponsored by an employer to get one of these?
You can do the EB1 without an employer. Generally, the O extraordinary ability, you will require somebody to sponsor you to obtain that.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense then. That can help people determine which one they should gravitate towards, I suppose, then, huh? Okay. And I know there's something called a national interest waiver. Can you explain exactly what that is?
Yes, a national interest waiver is the part of an EB2. EB2 is more or less visas for exceptional ability foreign nationals. And if you can establish that your exceptional ability along advanced degree along with national is relevant to the national interest of the United States, in other words, it has substantial merits, then you can ask that the USCIS, in adjudicating your petition, can waive what is called labor certification. Normally, for a foreign national to be employed in the United States, you need to go through a lengthy process called labor certification, where the job is advertised and you can show that there are no Americans willing or able or to do the job. However, the national interest waiver waives this requirement such that you can petition directly if you establish certain factors.
Okay. That's interesting. So, who should think about applying for a national interest waiver? Like, for anyone listening, for anyone listening, I was just curious, like, how they would know if that's something that they should consider. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, the first requirement is that, of course, you should have an advanced degree, although a bachelor's degree with substantial experience can equate to an advanced degree. The second is that you must be doing something. You must be involved in a profession or an endeavor that you can use to demonstrate that a labor certification, the waiver of a labor certification, will be more beneficial to the United States than for you to go through that process of labor certification. And you demonstrate that by showing that your endeavor is national in scope, it has intrinsic or substantial merits. It is highly articulatory. You have to articulate it. Curiously, the regulations does not define national interest waiver. I think that is intentional so that each case can be viewed on its merits, case by case basis.
Okay. And how long does it typically take to get an EB1 or the O1 or the national interest waiver approved?
Yeah. Well, sometimes we are very reluctant to give clients the processing time, right? Because these are all moving parts. But generally,
especially these days, I suppose, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But generally, extraordinary ability, you should expect between 8 months to 12 months. Same thing with exceptional ability to get an approved petition and even O visas. However, there is something called premium processing, whereby if the petitioner or the applicant pays a certain amount, it could be processed in 15 days. I believe it's now about 2,500 to 2,500 in addition to the petition's fee. That can be processed. It doesn't mean that it will be approved within 15 days. It just means that it will be adjudicated and you will get a decision within 15 days. Strategically, you have to think very well before you do that. We usually look at our cases very well before we advise on using premium processing.
Can you apply for multiple visas at the same time?
Yes, you can. If you qualify for both, you can apply. Many times there are interlapping qualifications and eligibility criteria that you meet. And if you made that, you can apply. For example, extraordinary ability and exceptional ability. You can apply for both. And that gives you the latitude. It gives you an advantage.
Yeah.
More possibility of getting one of them. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, if you qualify for both and you're allowed to, then you may as well do both and see which one you get, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How can immigrants invest in the United States to qualify for a green card?
I think there are generally two main ways to invest. The first is called EB5, which is investments. You invest in one of either the target area or you invest directly in the United States and you create about 10 full-time employment, as well as demonstrate that your investment is lasting and the source of funds. For the general investment, you have to come up with at least $1,050,000 in that investment that is invested, except in cases where it is in a target area, whereby you have to come up with $800,000 for that investment.
800. Okay. And are there any immigration options for entrepreneurs who might not have that kind of money yet to invest?
Oh yes. That's a good question, Kevin. I think I should tell that because there is also an option called E2, which is countries that have belong to there is a treaty agreement with certain countries, and many countries have that in that treaty agreement with the United States. If you're from one of those countries, you can invest in the United States for a hundred thousand or less sometimes, but usually 100,000 will be a reasonable amount to work with. There is no fixed amount that you should actually invest, but it starts giving you your case some weight when your investment is above $100,000. But this is not a permanent resident status, though. It is temporary, but you could use it effectively to transition into other permanent resident status.
Yeah, so it'll kind of gives you an opportunity to maybe get some more money, and maybe you can get that other the EB-5 afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. So it's like a way in. It's a way in to
Yes,
show that you want to invest here, but ultimately, hopefully, you can get that EB-5.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. What's the best way for someone to contact your office if they need help to start their immigration journey?
The best way, there are a couple of ways. The best way I would think is either by emailing us. You email our office, Law Office of Fogam and Associates. The email address is info@fogamlaw.com. The phone is also very good because somebody will always be able to talk to you. You will always talk to somebody and probably schedule an appointment even via Zoom. The phone number is 301-608-1555.
And what do you recommend people have ready when they want to start this journey? What kind of information, documentation, anything that they should make sure that they have in their hands before they contact you?
Before you contact us, there are some basic things that we are going to ask you. Some of them you may not have them really handy, but initially we would like to ask you for your resume or curriculum vitae. I would like to ask you what you are doing presently, how long you've been doing that, and figure out where you really are in your professional life, and further your status if you are in the United States, to know what particular status you are in. If you are abroad, to know exactly whether you had visited the United States and how you came in and back and forth. There are some background questions, and they wouldn't be too many, maybe about 6, 7, 8 questions. We can do a quick review and then schedule a follow-up strategy session. Before that strategy session, we can send a questionnaire to you to get a little bit more information, and by that time, we should be prepared to go more in-depth into the situation.
Just out of curiosity, does the current climate, is it more difficult to get visas now?
Well, I'll tell you that it is actually, we think these extraordinary ability visas and investment visas and visas for highly qualified foreign nationals are easier. They are getting easier because I think it is some type of selective immigration, so to speak. So there is really no hurdle. I've not seen that this is becoming more difficult. Instead, I'm thinking the business immigration is actually expanding. I'm sure you've heard about the move towards making H-1B visas more available to foreign nationals. So that is the trajectory we see. It's not, but other areas in immigration, of course, there are pushbacks. But sure, business, investment, and for professionals, it's not really bad.
Okay. I guess that kind of makes sense, to be honest with you. You kind of see that. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. If you are an immigrant with extraordinary abilities, an entrepreneur or an investor, or someone looking to reunite with your family, remember, your dreams are possible, but good planning is key. Edwin and his team are here to help you navigate the process with clarity, compassion, and confidence. Feel free to reach out for a confidential consultation. Can you say that number one more time, Edwin?
Yes. The telephone number is 301-608-1555. And our contact email address is info@fogamlaw.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Edwin. Really appreciate your time, all the insight, and giving some great information to some people who need it. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.